Ladies and gentlemen, friends and family, thank you so much for being a part of the reading that we are about to do. And we are having a good time as we are going through some of the Apocrypha books that are found in Yah Scriptures. The Big Blue Book is the book that you see right in front of you. It has a whopping 3,153 pages of truth. It has 3 amazing bookmarks. It is large print. It is for all of us with all of our bad eyes that we can't see, or for those of us who can see great and just want to read forever without having our eyes watering. This is the ultimate study guide. It is still in stock. It is still available for all of you guys out there. And we have the brand new paperback that is being worked through right now. We are working very, very hard on getting that rolling out to all of you guys. And with that, thank you guys for being a part of this presentation. It is a beginning of the week, and I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I hope that you had a wonderful Shabbat. And we are in the second day of the week on our Creator's calendar. The Gregorian calendar has this day known as a moon day. Every single day of the week is named after pagan names of goddesses and gods and things that these people idolize and they adore, and this, so they have named all of this, including our calendars, after all these terrible things. And so, guys, let us get into this reading right now. You guys can get this free Yah Scriptures. It is actually free. You can get the digital versions of it at yahscriptures.com. The Android version will be almost on the Play Store. For those who are not okay downloading it from our website and installing it, it should be the Play Store very, very soon. We are working very, very hard on that, and it is going to be an amazing production there. And let us get into this. And what we're getting into is we are getting into the book of First Esdras. And this is the Google app right here. This is what will be going to the Play Store for all of you guys here very shortly, absolutely free of charge. And just like all of our digital productions are 100% free of charge, you can get all of our books, you can get all the e-swords, you can get the PDFs. It's all out there, and it's completely free of charge. Why is it free of charge? Why aren't we like every one of these other criminals that are out there hoarding the word of our Creator? Because it shouldn't be hoarded. It was free to us, and it should be free to you. It is the greatest thing that you guys can ever find, this amazing Torah. And this amazing Torah is found in Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. And if you take a look at this beautiful words right here, the text that you have, the things it says, be fruitful, multiply, replenish the earth, subdue it. These are all absolutely wonderful commands that we have been given by the hand and by the words of our Creator. This is the word right before us. And these are the words that everybody says they're on the cross. They're nailed to the cross. They're old. They're garbage. They don't matter to us. It doesn't matter at all. And I'm here to tell you that that is a mistake. That if you take that perspective as you read the Scriptures, that is a mistake, because there is no place anywhere in Scriptures that it says things of that nature. Now, you may take letters of Paul out of context, but if you take the letters of Paul out of context and trump the word of our Creator, that makes Paul your God. And if you're comfortable with Paul being your God, which again, I'm going to advise is a major mistake, then you may find the words that you're looking for where the law is gone. But when you understand what Paul is actually saying, he isn't actually saying this. He's a very astute writer. And some of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that historians and people that study writing have studied all of Paul's letters in the original Greek. And it doesn't appear as if the same person actually writes all the letters. So when you're discussing Paul, or when Paul becomes your God, then understand that a lot of people back in the day, they couldn't get anything published unless they were published under people's names who were known. You could be Billy Bob and write some stuff, and nobody's going to read anything that comes from Billy Bob. But if you write it and say you are Shaul, then people may read it. So right before our eyes is the greatest things that we have. And one of these greatest things is that we guard the covenant, statutes, laws, and commandments of our beautiful, wonderful Yahuwah. That is the Elohim Most High of the world. And he has told us this how many times? There's 3 pages, this, folks. There's a lot of pages when you are looking at this single commandment. And this single commandment is the largest commandment of all the commandments that are out there. And why is it out there? Why do we have something that's reiterated so many times, but yet we've nailed the laws of our Creator to the cross? So not only are we having bad advice and bad doctrine, but we're also trumping the word of our Creator, which says, guard this. Now, for anybody that has been in any kind of martial arts, any kind of fighting at all, you guys understand when you put your dukes up, you put your hands up, your chin down, you get ready so in case you get cracked across the head, you're not going to get knocked out. And in fighting, and my kids, we grew up. I was an MMA fighter. I fought MMA for most of my life that I had in the United States. And so my kids grew up in MMA. And there's pictures of them at 3 years old, maybe younger, in headgear and gloves. And they just want to be like dad. So they'd pop this stuff on there. And as life pursued and as they got in older, they're fully trained up. They can snap arm bars and they can choke people out and they can do whatever it is that is necessary for the defense of themselves. But the word that we always have had, especially when they were sparring, and almost every single day when we were in the States, in the afternoon, we would run, we would exercise, and then we would work out on the mat, and they would spar. And I would sit there and I would coach them from my little treadmill as I'm running along my treadmill, exercising myself. I would sit there and advise the kids on how to properly throw down. Now, we told them, chin down, hands up. And sometimes you get sloppy. Sometimes as you're fighting along, sometimes your hands drop, and sometimes you get out of posture and your head comes up, and you don't want your head to come up. When you have your head up and somebody cracks you across the skull, it snaps your head to one way, and it's what you call a knockout. You can hit people right on the button, right on the chin, and that is a knockout. But when you have your head down, when you have your chin down, and you have your hands up, then you are defending that very volatile piece of real estate. Now, this same defense that we have is what we should be doing with the Torah of our Creator. When people are like, the laws have been taken away, they've been gone, you would say, nope, chin down, hands up. This is what we do, right? As we were told in this simple command, hands down, chin up. This is what it means. It means we guard it. And when people are like, oh, that's the laws of Moshe, that doesn't apply to us. Paul said it's on the cross, or all food has been made clean. Stuff said in ignorance, right? You're like, nope, hands up, chin down. And you're not going to go into battle. And every single day is a battle. Every single day that we go out there, we rage against the Gentiles. And the Gentiles absolutely rage against us. And it's a thing that everybody laughs at us, right? We are laughed at. Now, down here in the third world country, we started, Miss Nicole and Eli started a little frozen food business. And this frozen food business, we go against a guy that we have nicknamed Evil Eric. Now, Evil Eric is a raging Gentile. He loves to put pork fat in all of his food. And so as he has, over the years, we got really close to him at one point before we got into Torah. And then we got into Torah, and Evil Eric he was very nasty. He's a nasty, nasty fella. And what he did is he would send us pictures with a scale, and he would have pig fat that he was boiling down. Now, this guy puts pig fat in almost every entree that he puts out, and he laughs at us. He said we were fools for keeping this Torah, and he'll quote Paul, and they don't want to be. He quotes Peter's dream, right? He's like, look, we can eat whatever we want. Slay and eat, Peter. We can eat whatever we want. And they never, ever finish reading the rest of the chapter. They never realized that it had nothing to do with unclean food being made clean. And that's the thing, is pig is not food. Leviticus 11 very clearly says this. So as we are battling this individual down here, and it is a battle because he writes these emails out and it goes to the same community that we write our emails to, we have taken a stand and we have told everybody, there is no pig in any of our food. And in fact, we just put out an email today, and it talks about that 1 in 10 people get sick from pork-related products every year. 420,000 people die worldwide because of sickness from pig. And as I was doing a little bit of research on these pigs can wallow in feces and mud and bacteria and parasites, and it doesn't matter. In fact, even a legitimate looking pig that looks healthy can have hepatitis E, it can have salmonella, it can have all of these different diseases, and then people slay and eat. And they will take this pig, and it's full of bacteria. And then all of a sudden you eat this thing, and then, a month later you have 40 pounds of worms inside of your stomach. You're very, very sick. The parasites are running through your system. You have become the host, the same host that these things use on the pigs, and the pigs are okay with it, right? The pigs don't even have regular sweat glands. They do not sweat like the rest of the animals, which is why you will see them in a pig pen wallowing in the mud to stay cool. Now, when you don't sweat and when you don't have the same kind of eating and the same kind of body, say, as a cow does, where it has 4 different stomachs, and it chews its cud, it regurgitates it. Same with chickens. Chickens will eat little tiny rocks and grind them up, and they have little stomachs in there, and we have food that is legitimate food. Pig is not a food. And so when we have this guard Yahuwah's covenant, and we have people like Evil Eric, we will always say, hey, you know what? Pigs are bad for you. And so we've taken a stand down here, and we understand that most people are simply great with eating pig. They don't realize the dangers to it. And it is in scriptures, but it's not simply because it's in scriptures, but when you research it, it becomes very clear that the smart people don't eat pig. You wouldn't want to probably be around a pig. There is infections and disease and nasty stuff with these things. They're janitors. They're there to eat corpses and its own feces, and sometimes they eat their young, so they'll eat bodies. There's been stories where these killers have tossed people in, and within a month or so, this pig has almost completely consumed everything. The only thing it can't consume is like the skull, but it will sit there and gnaw on the fingers and the toes and eat all the flesh off it, and it's loving it, right? These are the kind of things that it can eat because it was made to be a dumpster diving land animal. So when those of you that are out there get laughed at because we keep the laws, statutes, and commandments, understand that we as well have these problems, and this is just the way it is. And so be proud when people are yelling at you and laughing at you and cussing you out and trying to make you look like an idiot in front of the rest of the community, because that's what Evil Eric does. And we stand our place. And at the end of the day, we know that we're fighting on Yah's team. And we know that when you cook pig fat and put it in all your food because it makes the food taste better, a little salty or something like that, we know that's unkodesh. We know that's sick and wrong. And so, guys, stand tall. Hands down, hands up, chin down. Only have your hands down and your chin up if you're a raging Gentile, because that's what you do, because you do not defend the word of our Creator. Now, let's get into this, because this is an amazing story. This is an amazing book. This comes out of the Apocrypha of Yah Scriptures. This is first Esdras. And who we have in this book is we have some of the amazing prophets from back in the day. Some of the guys that have come and done it. And, most of the prophets ended up in a very bad place, right? We have, I think, Isaiah. He was sawed in half with like a wood saw or some horrible way to die. All of the prophets of Yah ended up getting abused and owned by the people. And, we're a little past that, but there is still the social media wood saws where people will laugh and jibe you and, oh, you must be a zoo. And you're like, no, I'm not a zoo. I'm just a Torah keeper. I love the entire Bible. Whereas the zoos, they have hundreds of other books, and including, Babylonian mysticism, things of black magic. That's what they have. And so we want to be clean. We want to be fresh in front of our Creator. So let us get into this. And Esdras, first Esdras 2. In the first year of Koresh, sovereign of Paras, in order to accomplish the word of Yahuwah by the mouth of Yirmiyahu, Yahuwah stirred up the spirit of Koresh, sovereign of Paras, so that he called out all in his reign and also put it in writing, saying, Thus said Koresh, sovereign of Paras, Yahuwah of Yisrael, the Most High El has made me sovereign of the whole world, and commanded me to build him a house at Jerusalem in Yahudah. If therefore there are any of you who are of this people, let Yahuwah, even his Adon, be with him, and let him go up to Jerusalem that is in Yahudah, and build the house of Yahuwah of Yisrael. For he is Yahuwah who dwells in Jerusalem. Whoever then dwells in the place round about, I say, let him help. Let them help him. Those who are his neighbors, with gold and with silver, with gifts, with horses and with cattle, and other goods, which have been presented with a vow for the Hayekil of Yahuwah at Jerusalem. Then the chiefs of the families of Yahudah and of the tribe of Benjamin stood up, the Kohanim also, and the Levites, and all those whose heart Yahuwah had moved to go up to build a house for Yahuwah at Jerusalem. And those who dwelled round about them helped them in all matters, with silver and gold, with horses and cattle, and with very many gifts of a great number, whose hearts were stirred up to do so. Sovereign Koresh also brought out the Kodesh vessels which Nebuchadnezzar had carried away from Jerusalem, and had put up in his temple of idols. Now when Koresh, sovereign of Paras, had brought them out, he delivered them to Mithrath, his treasure. And by him they were delivered to Sheshbazzar, the governor of Yahudah. And this was the number of them, 1,000 gold cups, and 1,000 of silver, 29 silver fire holders, 30 bowls of gold, and 2,410 of silver, and 1,000 other vessels. So all the vessels of gold and silver, which were carried away, were 5,469. So a lot of gold stuff, right? A lot of silver stuff. These were brought back by Sheshbazzar, together with those in captivity from Babel to Jerusalem. But in the time of Arthashasta, sovereign of Paras Bishlam, the Mithredath, and Tabeel, and Rekim, the governor, and Shimshai, the scribe, with others that were in commission with them dwelling in Shomeron and other places, wrote to him against those who dwelt in Yahudah in Jerusalem these following words. So these are a whole bunch of traitors. These are a whole bunch of dudes that did not want the people of Yah to rise up again. To sovereign Artakshasta, our master, your servants, Rekim, the governor, and Shimshai, the scribe, and the rest of their council, and the judges that are in Kole, Syria, and Phoenicia, let it be known to our master, the sovereign, that the Yahudim who came up from you to us, having come to Jerusalem, that rebellious and wicked city, are building the marketplaces and repairing the walls of it and laying the foundation of the Hayekil. Now if the city and its walls were built up again, they shall not only refuse to give tribute, but also rebel against the sovereigns. So these guys are going against literally the hand of our Creator. And this is a very interesting story. And because that which pertains to the Hayekil are now in hand, we think it right not to neglect such a matter, but to speak to our master the sovereign, to the intent that, if it be your pleasure, it may be sought out in the books of your fathers. And you shall find in the annals, which are written concerning these matters, and shall understand that this city was rebellious, troubling both sovereigns and cities, and that the Yahudim were rebellious and raised contentious wars, which is the very reason the city was made desolate. Therefore, we do now declare unto you, O Master the Sovereign, that if this city be built again and its walls rebuilt, you shall no longer have passage into Kole, Syria, and Phoenicia. Then the sovereign wrote back again to Rekim the governor, to Shimshai the scribe, and to the rest of their companions, and dwellers in Shomeron, and Syria, and Phoenicia, after this manner. I have read the letter which you have sent to me. Therefore I commanded to make diligent search, and it has been found that this city was from the beginning exercising against sovereigns. And the men within were given to rebellion and fighting, and that mighty and harsh sovereigns were in Jerusalem, who reigned and exacted tributes to Kole, Syria, and Phoenicia. Now therefore I have commanded to prevent those men from building the city, and take heed that there be no more done in it, and that those wicked workers proceed no further to the annoyance of the sovereigns. Then when the letter from sovereign Artakshasta had been read, Rekim and Shimshai the scribe and the rest of their companions hurried to Jerusalem with a troop of horsemen, and a crowd of people in battle array began to hinder the builders, and the building of the Haekil in Jerusalem ceased until the 2nd year of the reign of Darius, sovereign of Paras. So there we go. This is these exciting stories, and I'm telling you guys, this is a great story. This is a fantastic reading. Both of these books of Esdras are amazing readings, and when you guys get down with them and you read them, this first book is going to tell us a tremendous amount about the original temples, and we're going to see some favorites in here. We're going to see Ezra, we're going to see Nehemiah, we're going to see the fan favorites that are in here, and these guys are super, super cool. Nehemiah is a savage, Ezra is a savage. They are just on fire for the kingdom of Yah and willing to do everything. But as you can see with everything in life, there's those who have their hands down and their chin up. Now, all of these guys, Artaxerxes and Rakem and Shimshai, they basically thwarted and stopped the building of the temple. They stopped the building of the worship of our Creator in a place where people felt comfortable seeking our Creator. And in fact, we have, Torah commands talking about Jerusalem and talking about meeting there 3 times a year and various things. And at the end of time, there's a city of Elohim that's going to come down on top of Mount Zion. And that city is called the New Jerusalem. And so we are all going to have, hopefully, a place in there. Hopefully we will have a mansion in Messiah Yahushua's father's house. And I believe that it is so, because if it was not so, then he would have not have told us about this and given us his hopes and these dreams. And so, guys, as we roll through this week, make sure we keep our chins down and keep our hands up. Because when we do that and we are guarding the Torah, the beautiful, wonderful words of wisdom and instructions, then we are part of the kingdom to come. And as you look around, there's not a tremendous amount of people out there. There's not a lot of Torah keepers. There's a lot of fakers. There's a lot of people that are in it for a lot of money. But as far as those simply worshiping our Elohim and loving our Elohim and loving our Messiah, you have everybody out there. They're like, we love Jesus. We love Jesus with all our heart. But yet they hate the words of his Father. They hate the ways of our Messiah. And if you were a follower of Christ, then you would want to emulate and do what our Christ did, what our Mashiach did. And it wasn't rebellion. It wasn't nailing his dad's laws to the cross. It wasn't saying you can eat whatever you want to eat at the detriment of your own 40 pounds of worms in your stomach. It's about keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments, keeping your body, your soul, your mind, everything clean, so that we can go before our Creator in beauty, in a way of cleanliness and kodesha. So with that, everybody, I love you all. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Much love. Thanks to everybody that hangs out reading this stuff with me. It's amazing. I'm out.